Hey, what's up, guys? So this is the introduction to a sermon I did on January 3rd, 2021 at Everyone's Church up in Mount Vernon. We only got about 18 out of 20 minutes of the total sermon, so this is just a brief introduction to bring you up to speed to where the next clip takes off. And basically, I explained where the topic came from, and that's during my walk with Christ, my understanding. I wasn't happy with how my mentality reacted to the good times in life and the bad times in life. How I feel the good times must have been due to my action or my reward for being good. And the bad times were, either a punishment or something bad I did. But then over time, it's just like I realized, hey, this is going to be an ongoing thing in my life. And if God is omnipotent, this is purposeful. And I should probably learn to mature and get from the Bible the tenets that might help in my perspective, help in my understanding of how to deal with both the highs and lows in life. Not only that, but to anyone you talk to about faith, often you'll see it be kind of very ping-pongy, that things are good, God is awesome, I love God. When things are bad, it's just, who is this guy? I don't know who he is. So I just was a serious calling to my heart to preach on this subject. So basically, the topic is battles and blessings, glorifying God at all times, and learning to walk in that truth. So that being said, thank you guys. Enjoy the clip.
So if I'm going up and down all the time, but God is constant, it might not be God's fault. It may be misunderstanding from my perspective. It may be a lack of knowledge, not familiar with the Bible. Maybe there's some roots in there that we could dig out and apply to our lives.
Come on.
And so that was kind of the impetus for this topic. God is constant. We're not. We go up and down. So through battles and blessings, how do we glorify God at all times? And how do we grow into this calling? Because that is our calling as Christians.
Come on.
He didn't give us a spirit of fear, but a spirit of power and a sound mind.
Come on.
So even when things are up and even when things are down, how can we stay constant? And the first verse that came to mind was Philippians 2:12. So then, my dear ones, just as you has always obeyed my instructions with enthusiasm, not only in my presence, but now much more in my absence, continue to work out your salvation. That is, cultivate it, bring it to full effect.
Come on.
Actively pursue spiritual maturity with awe-inspired fear and trembling. That's serious.
Come on.
Using serious caution and critical self-evaluation to avoid anything that might offend God or discredit the name of Christ. So that's a lengthy, verbose point. So suffice it to say, we're called and commanded to actually reflect and analyze our walk and actually critique it and hold it up against biblical truth. How is our walk going? How is our faith?
That's
Are we
right.
acting the way that he says we're commanded to, and we have the power to walk in? And another verse that goes well with working out our faith is Romans 11:36. And that is, for from him and through him and to him are all things. All things. Good things and bad things. That's all, right? Not just some, not just the positive, but the bad too. He's in control of. To him be the glory forever. So the takeaway is God creates all situations, both good and bad. Therefore, we need not fear that anything isn't under his control and power. I know I feel that a lot. You have to pick one or the other, and he says we can walk in the right way.
Yes.
Graham Cook, a preacher who I like very much, has something that really spoke to me. He says, God allows in his wisdom what he could easily prevent by his power.
That's right.
So there's no accidents there. There's no accidents. Romans 8:28. And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God.
That's right.
To them who are called according to his purpose.
Right.
That's right.
So God makes all situations for our good as well.
Come on.
To mature us, grow us, and grow our faith in him to bring him glory. So we know three amazing things from those verses. He wants us to analyze and critique our own walk. He wants us to be mature and grow in that, right?
That's right.
And he makes all things and all circumstances according to his power. And finally, all of these circumstances he made are for our own good.
That's right.
This is incredible. This is an insight that can allow us to kind of propel out of our negativity, our sadness, our woe is me, God doesn't love me, I feel distant, things are rough. And so how can we use these tenets to glorify God and improve our attitude in both the highs and lows? And I think the perspective is really key here. in being able to ascertain and take in God's wisdom from the Bible. And it goes back, it was on my heart to talk about the perspective of a child. Specifically, when we look at a child, very eager, very trusting, loves their parents. We know what people are capable of. We would never call that child a fool for believing that. You know, he doesn't understand it, but it's beautiful. It's wonderful. Why? Because it's how God designed us to relate to him.
Come on, that's right.
He teaches us that through having children in earth, right?
Come on, that's a good point.
He tells us repeatedly that we're children and to pursue that heart. Examples in our lives show, if you're honest with yourselves, we wish we were a little bit more mature in many ways. I mean, to be frank, I picked my nose since I was a kid. I still catch myself doing it. It's embarrassing. My mom's like, hey, buddy, 35 years old. And I'm like, okay. So, or even in our attitudes, in our propensity to be anxious or angry or lash out and not hold our tongue, we're children. You know, we're only an adult in reference to the smaller children we have on this earth, but we are always children before God. He's telling us that all the time.
Come on.
And I think our examples support that, and we can see that very clearly.
That's right. Come on.
And with children, we teach them with carrots and sticks. You guys are all familiar with that? You know, carrots are a nice goal. Sticks are things you avoid. They whip you into submission. But the important takeaway is not to teach the kids about carrots and sticks. These are two tools used to coerce and teach wisdom to a child so he doesn't go to the extremes. So they can find the wisdom in every situation and have the tools in his mind to assess costs and benefits and reflect and think, because you can't teach him how to respond to every opportunity. It's impossible. What you can do is teach him a framework of how to think and how to be a wise child and be a successful adult.
That's
right?
a good word.
So in the same application, I think God produces for us adults battles and blessings. And they're not about focusing on the, things are great and blessings, wonderful, or, God, things are horrible, it's so bad. It's about what he wants to teach us about our walk in wisdom through using these as mechanisms in his sovereign power and to make good come out of it for us, right? So for blessings, it's quite obvious. We like them. They're good. There's nothing inherently evil with enjoying things, whether it's love, whether it's success, whether it's putting your skills and abilities to good work in work or having success. But I think a sober concept that we don't think about is the inherent risk associated with constantly searching for pleasure or for blessing or for good times. We often don't think about some of the negative aspects of it. But now let's bring up King Solomon, right? We know all about King Solomon, David's chosen son. God gave him whatever he wanted. He said, I want wisdom. God says, you are smart. With wisdom, you can get anything you want. Women, success, money, good choice. And as the Bible said, he was the wisest and richest man ever. Mm-hmm. That's what I would say is kind of a blessing. You know, pretty good. He had everything he could ever want. Unfortunately, back in Deuteronomy, when Israel wanted a king, God set forth some tenets. You know, what a king should do to be a good king of Israel. And he says, do not multiply your wealth and horses and wives. Wives specifically, lest they turn your heart away from the Lord.
That's true.
Solomon broke every one of those rules.
That's right.
Every one of them.
Yeah.
Not only that, but in 1 Kings 11:4, his heart was not wholly devoted to the Lord his God, as the heart of David, his father, had been.
Yeah.
So we can see the man was more blessed than anyone we've ever seen. Yeah. And he had less of a reason to commit that sin. He was wise, it was in the Bible already, and he still fell. Mm-hmm. How much more for us who are not the smartest people in the world? Mm-hmm. I think we should look out for these things. Yeah. So one of the dangers I just want to call out is simply idolatry, actually. And in the Oxford Dictionary, it's a person or thing that is greatly admired, loved, or revered. And so it doesn't have to be, I don't worship it as a god, so I don't idolize it. No, the question is what you should ask yourself is, what do we too easily enjoy and readily run to enjoy before God? And I do it a lot. I do it a lot. Whether it's screaming your head off at a touchdown at a Seahawks game. When's the last time you exalted God with that much excitement?
Come on.
Just be honest with yourself. Just be honest with yourself, you know? It says the angels praise, and that's our inheritance. So we should probably realize we can actually enjoy God that much. How can we do that?
Come on. Good word. Good word.
And God is jealous, and he should be. He's awesome.
That's right.
He's awesome. Exodus 23, you must not have any gods but me.
That's right.
Come on.
Fairly clear there. Fairly clear. The second danger I wanted to call out is too much blessings, too much good things, and we tend, as humans, kind of weak, to get a little bit self-reliant, tend to be a little bit arrogant, or maybe even haughty. Psalm 18:27, for you save a humble people, but those with haughty eyes you bring down.
Mm-hmm.
You don't want to be brought down by God. I'm sure we all have it in various ways. It's not fun. It's not a fun thing. Better to be self-correcting. So the outcomes of these dangers: idolatry, idols are going to fail us. God's the only thing that can sustain us and the only thing that won't fail us. Idols, everyone will. You know, whether it's your kids, they're going to fail you. You worship yourself, you're going to fail yourself.
That's
worship
right.
your looks, you're going to get old. What happens? You know, I mean, take it, extrapolate it however you want. Your idols are going to fail you. That's just how it is. God tells us that. He tells us that. We should pay heed to that. I think that would be useful.
Come on.
And second, if we get a little haughty, a little arrogant, a little prideful on things aside from God, He has a way of kicking those pedestals out from underneath us and crashing us down. And it's not fun. It's painful and it's abrupt, and He gets our attention.
Yeah.
So that being said, what can we do? It's not all, oh, this is sad, avoid blessings. It's simply just being aware. You know, being spiritually mature in your walk, looking to what you're praising and worshiping, and if you are giving God His allocated glory and love and praise as well. And it's just to be on the lookout for things. It's like tithing. Tithing is meant to keep us aware of God's provision and to build our faith and dependence on Him. God, you blessed me with this check out of nowhere. Thank you. Let me take a moment and let me take a percentage and show it in a tangible way how thankful I am to you. Of course I like the money I got. Thank you for opening up opportunities. But the point is, it's a matter of conditioning our heart to love the giver, not the gift.
Oh, come on.
And
really good.
You know, let the enjoyment of Thanksgiving be our instinct when we enjoy these things and push us closer to Him and pay tribute to Him as God in ultimate glory.
Excellent.
And finally, let the blessings humble us. Everything we have, whether it's our knowledge, whether it's our skills, it's our looks, it's our great kids, it's our intellect, it's our demeanor, our parents even, you know, where we were born, we didn't determine any of those things. God gave them all to us, from the big and the small. Yes, even the work ethic you have that helped you achieve whatever, who gave you the work ethic? Who gave you the insight to realize that's a good thing to do? It wasn't you because you're a genius, so put it that way. As smart as you all are, I'm sure. So as we can see, blessings are wonderful, but they're not always good. They can have pitfalls associated with them that lead us away from God, which is a danger that we have to be, considerate of.
That's true.
And on the other side of the coin, I got to talk about some battles, some of the pains, trials, and tribulations that we're also promised in this life. And these are the direct opposite. We hate them, they're painful, we avoid them at all costs, but they're actually profound opportunities to work towards growing in maturation in intimacy with God. That's one of His main mechanisms of how He does that and gets our attention. Often they're sad, horrible experiences, struggles, anxieties, worries, difficulties, sickness. These always seem superficially bad, and certainly they're unpleasant. There's no question about it. They're very unpleasant. But what is God showing us in these? Because remember, He determines these. He sets these in action. They're not accidents. They're purposeful in causing us to grow. So how do we perceive it rightly? And rather, again, what are some of the dangers associated with not perceiving it rightly? You can make a negative idol about it, believe it or not. Idols are not always positive things. An idol is something that takes your attention, your worry, what you talk about, what's obsessing, what you're fretting over. So it's not just positive worrying. I mean, worry about your problems, deal with your problems. That's normal. We have to do it. But glorifying the problem with emotion, attention, and words over God is basically putting an idol above God. It's like, He's bigger than God. This problem is bigger than God, and that's not our calling. That's not our inheritance at all.
Come on.
It's something that we get to practice in doing each time and get a little better at it each time. At least that's what I found is useful in my life. Isaiah 8:13 is powerful. Don't fear anything except the Lord of the armies of heaven.
Come on.
Not some things. Don't fear anything. That's our calling? I'm far from that. But it's exciting to think about. It's insanely exciting for me. If you fear Him, you need not fear anything else.
Come on.
Who doesn't want to believe in that promise? I mean, who wouldn't want to? It'd be insane not to. This is fantastic, our inheritance. That's joyful right there. And the second risk is that you will be wasting the purpose of your suffering. You'll be suffering in vain. Isaiah 41:10. So do not fear, for I am with you. Do not be dismayed, for I am your God. I will strengthen you and help you. I will uphold you with my righteous hand.
Come on.
If we could believe that every day, every problem we have, how would our lives change? If we actually walked in faith of that being a reality for us, we would change the world. And I think that's what Jesus did. I think that's exactly how it worked. Philippians 4:19. And my God will meet all of your needs according to the riches of his glory in Jesus Christ.
Amen.
Not some, not sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
not when you want it always, but he will and he can. And that's a promise that we can learn to cultivate through these times. So again, some of the dangers, we disobey. If we're not prioritizing and understanding why we have problems and what we can work through with our problems, we disobey. We worship and idolize our fears instead of giving them to God. We fail to glorify God at these times. We forget who God is. Who is he? Oh, I don't know. This problem is much bigger than God. He's my God right now. I'll get back to you later. You know, that's a disservice to God. I mean, he's our strong tower. The righteous run into him and we are saved. And finally, we suffer in vain. We miss out on the whole reason for the trials. We lament, we go to pity parties, and we don't even grow and get better for next time we encounter them, which is guaranteed, by the way. So we best make the most of the opportunities, I think.
That's right.
And so what can we do? Just like with the blessings, just simply be aware. Be self-correcting and be on the lookout for some of these pitfalls and look at the opportunities associated with some of the tough times we're in. C.S. Lewis, read him if you haven't already. He's amazing. One of my favorite guys. I'll give you a copy of Mere Christianity if you want it, because it's changed my life and so many people I know. He says, God whispers to us in our pleasures, speaks in our conscience, but shouts to us in our pains. It is his megaphone to rouse a deaf world. So, takeaway number one, listen to the shouting. Listen to the pain. And see what provisions God gives us in his Bible. David is a fantastic example. He was called a man after God's own heart, something I think we all want to be if we're walking to follow Christ. So check out what David does. He laments all the time. He cries out. You might even say complaining, but he gives it up to God as sovereign. Answer me quickly, Lord. My spirit fails. Do not hide your face from me, or I will be like those who go into the pit. Let the morning bring me word of your unfailing love, for I have put my trust in you. Show me the way I should go, for to you I entrust my life. That's an incredible promise right there. Number two, run into your strong tower of intimacy with God.
Come on.
Refresh yourself and let the pain push you into knowing God more and into speaking his truth into your life. And let
Preach
it
it.
change you. Let it be transforming.
Preach it.
1 Peter 5:7, cast all your anxiety on him, for he cares for you. Everything, big and small, run to him. Run to him. Don't run to your friends. Run to him first.
Exactly.
You know? Take it up with him. Grow your intimacy with God. And let it forge our character. Let the pain beat us like an anvil in the forge
Come on.
into a different spirit.
Come
Train
on.
us to be strong at all times. Not weak every time. Oh, no, another thing happened just when the other one happened. Oh, no. We need to be mature and we need to walk with strength as mature kids of God. I mean, that's what we're called into. Numbers 14:24. But my servant Caleb, because he has a different spirit and has followed me fully, I will bring into the land into which he went, and his descendants shall possess it. We don't want to be part-time Christians. We don't want to be strong sometimes and weak others.
That's right.
We want to be strong all the time.
Come on.
We want to be a bastion and a pillar to those around us. We want to be able to speak truth into them in love. I know so many times I'm self-absorbed into my problems and I feel like I can't give anymore. You know, and I don't think that's where a Christian needs to be.
Right.
I think we need to be continually filled by the Spirit, enable us to love
Come
and
on.
give the
Come
way
on.
Jesus did, and the way Jesus does to us. He doesn't
Come
get
on.
sick of us.
That's right.
You know, not at all. So pain brings us to our knees and forces us to look up. You know, like someone cracks you in your knees, you know, with a bat. You're going to fall down and look up. You know, that's kind of how I view God attacks me with pain sometimes. And so we can use these problems to grow in God, not wallow in self-pity and pain. That's not the purpose of our problems. They're gladiator forms to get better. And
Come
to learn
on.
to give to God.
That's good.
They're ordained to help us get better. So in closing, guys, highs and lows, they're both related. We're going to have both in this life. We're not meant to be Christian ping pong balls going high and low, freaking everyone out around us, casting anxiety on people. That's not who we are. One appears good and feels good, and we desire usually above everything else, and that's good blessings. But as we saw today, it's full of temptation and doesn't necessarily even help us grow fast towards God. And the other one appears bad, it feels bad, and we want to avoid problems as much as we can. But they're full of amazing opportunities for growth and to see God's work in our life and our maturation. Both are blessings. Both require a perspective of a child to see the shortcomings and the blessings and to be humble enough to be taught. They require us to be aware, to look for the dangers and opportunities. And most importantly, we got to keep our eyes on God the whole time.
Come on.
You know, in the good and the bad. Otherwise, we're going to trip. So a final verse in prayer that summarizes today's message, Proverbs 38, 8 to 10. Keep falsehood and lies far from me. Give me neither poverty nor riches. It's a weird prayer. But give me only my daily bread. Why? Otherwise, I may have too much and disown you. That's a Solomon thing right there. Yeah. And say, who is the Lord? Or I may become poor and steal, and so dishonor the name of my God. Thank you guys for your time. Amen. Be blessed.
Come on. Come on. Good work.